Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Stottasat Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakun Radha Kun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Raj Bhumi Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Yamuna Mai Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Go Premanandi Hari Hari All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga, glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Jai. You all understand English, that's very good. Okay, today's verse we are reading from Canto number 1, chapter number 3. Krishna is the source of all incarnations. And text number 31 is continuing a little bit on the same line as yesterday's class, but with some analogy for us. Yata nabasi mega go renuva partivo nile evam dashtari drishta yatvam aropitam abuddhibihi yata nabasi mego go renuvar partivo nile evam dashtari drishyatvam aropitam abuddhibihi yata navasi mego go renuvar partivo nile evam dashtari drishyatvam aropitam abuddhibihi yata navasi mego go renuvar partivo nile evam dashtari drishyatvam aropitam abuddhibihi yata navasi mego go renuvar partivo nile evam dashtari drishyatvam aropitam abuddhibihi yata navasi mego go Reno va partivo nile. Evam drashtari drishyatvam. Aropitam abuddhivihi. Yata. Yata, as it is. Nabasi, the sky. Mega Ogaha, a mass of clouds. Renuhu, dust. Va, as well as. Partivaha, muddiness. Anile, in the air. Evam, thus. Drashtari, to the seer. Drishyatvam, for the purpose of seeing. Aropitam is implied. Abuddhibihi, by less intelligent persons. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Clouds and dust are carried by the ear, but less intelligent persons say that the sky is cloudy and the air is dirty. Similarly, they also implant material bodily conceptions on the spirit soul. Please repeat. Clouds and dust are carried by the ear. But less intelligent persons say that the sky is cloudy and the air is dirty. Similarly, they also implant bodily material conceptions on the spirit self. Purport. It is further confirmed herein that with our material eyes and senses we cannot see the Lord, who is all spirit. We cannot even detect the spiritual spark which exists within the material body of the living being. We look to the outward cover of the body or subtle mind of the living being, but we cannot see the spiritual spark within the body. So we have to accept the living being's presence by the presence of his gross body. Similarly, those who want to see the Lord with their present material eyes or with the material senses are advised to meditate on the gigantic external feature called Virat Rupa. For instance, when a particular man goes into his car, which can be seen very easily, we identify the car with the man within the car. When the president goes out in his particular car, we say, "Here's the president." For the time being, we identify the car with the president. Similarly, less intelligent men who want to see God immediately without necessary qualification are shown first the gigantic material cosmos as the form of the Lord, although the Lord is within and without. The skies in the cloud and the blue of the sky are better appreciated in this connection. Although the bluish tint of the sky and the sky itself are different, we conceive of the color of the sky as blue, but that is a general conception for laymen only. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurinmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaiham Tadati Swapadantikam Vandayaham Sri Guruho Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaisnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrijatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajira Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sitam Krishna Chaitanya Deva Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakamvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pramami Hari Priye Panchakapatarubhyascha Kipasindubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutare Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityanamane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prasadane Nirvishesa Shanyavari Paschatya Deshatarane Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Giradha Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Yata Nabasi Mego Go Renu Var Partivo Anile Evam Dashtari Drishta Yatvam Aropitam Abuddhibihi. Clouds and dust are carried by the ear, but less intelligent persons say that the sky is cloudy and the air is dirty. Similarly, they also implant material conceptions onto the spirit self. Jai. Thank you. Jai Shri Prabhupada. So just briefly, I'll recap how we got to this place in the chapter. This chapter is called Krishna is the source of all incarnations. We started by looking at a list of some of the major incarnations, depending on how you count them, 23, 24, 25. And then we had, after that list, there was a couple of verses which said that actually the incarnations are innumerable, uncountable. There are so many incarnations in all species of life. And then the verse after that said, and actually all empowered beings within this material universe are also expansions of the Lord, their kala, their portions of portions. And then we had the famous verse, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. And now we're looking at what's not considered an incarnation of the Lord, which is this Virat Rupa, this universal form. There are several Virat Rupas. There's one in the second canto, very first chapter of the second canto. Sukadeva Goswami starts by addressing these less intelligent persons. So he starts by saying that people are less intelligent, a few verses by the sages saying that in the sage people are less intelligent. And then he says, okay, for these people, we describe this form of the Lord, the Virat Rupa, which is the different planetary systems. We'll go through the details in a minute. Another universal form is the one that Krishna showed to Arjuna on the battle of Kurukshetra. That was a different universal form. In that one he saw the whole universe, but what was most powerful for him was seeing the big forms of the Lord finalizing the war by chewing up all the soldiers on both sides. So that was a very different form of the Lord. And the third Virat Rupa was shown to Duryodhana. After Krishna had gone to try and make peace, he showed a small form of the Virat Rupa to Duryodhana. And Duryodhana was so much less intelligent that he says, "Oh, you're a big magic maker. I'll put you in prison." And he's tried to chase him, and of course he can't catch Krishna. You cannot catch Krishna. So three forms of the Virat Rupa there, and they're all material conception. They're not real. What Krishna saw, he saw the Lord. But these other ones are just imagination for our purpose, for our purification. So we'll go through that a little bit later. But there are some very important things in the purport that I'd like to follow through first. So Prabhupada starts off, as Guru Maharaj was telling in his class yesterday, about understanding the difference between our material body and our spirit soul. We cannot detect the spiritual spark within. He says we can detect the external body, and to some extent we can determine the subtle body. We know the external body, it acts, it's there, it's physical, we can see it. The subtle body is there, but we know because we can interact with the person, we can talk to them, we understand them, they're different from us, sometimes they say things we don't expect, so it's not our imagination doing things. So we understand the subtle body is there. Prabhupada in one purport, and I don't remember where, he said that if we are intelligent, we can actually understand the existence of the super soul from just meditating on our situation. He says if we think of our body, even just our body, we know the physical body is there, we know our subtle body is there, but we don't know how it all works. We don't know, we put food in our mouth, we don't know how it's digested. So somehow the food gets into our stomach and gets digested. And it's not chaos. Our food gets digested every day, and in a similar way, depending on what we eat. Of course, sometimes we have bad experience if we eat bad things. But there is a system. And so Prabhupada explains that by this we can understand that there is a system in our body that we're not the controller of. Somebody else controls it. And it's not chaotic. It didn't happen by chance. The material scientist will have you believe that life evolved by chance. There was maybe a big bang, or maybe there was a big hole in the universe, and from that gradually life came in and started moving, and there were amoebas, and then they developed into multi-cell organisms, and then they developed into different species. Bhagavatam sees things quite differently. Bhagavatam sees all these species not as a development of material bodies, but as a development of consciousness. We start off in a low consciousness, we start off in a body that can't do much. And we gradually move up through the species until we get to a human form of life. And when we get to the human form of life, it's a very special form of life. Because only in the human form of life, not even in the demigod's form of life, we can really start to understand that this whole system of life is not mechanical. It's not invented by chance. It doesn't just happen. There is a cause behind it, and that cause is intelligent. So if the cause is intelligent, then we can understand that the cause is a person. Some form of person. Has to be some form of person. Intelligence doesn't come from ether. Intelligence doesn't come from the void. So if we understand that there is a system here that has a plan, planets are floating in the sky by themselves, and the physicists will have you try and talk about the pull of gravitational force as they move around the universe, and they make a good theory, but then after 10, 20 years, they'll think of another theory. Like the biologists, they had a good theory. Darwin had a good theory. Men came from apes. But then they found some faults in that theory. Later, scientists came along and found some faults in that theory. I don't know what they're teaching in school now, but the scientists have disproved Darwin theory because they found things that don't match the theory. And that happens everywhere. Some of our devotees have written books on it. I think Sadaputta Das had written a book on the origin of the species. So we can understand with intelligence. But for less intelligent people, this Virat Rupa has been given. So Prabhupada is making the point in the purport that although we can't see the spark of the soul, we know it's there. Because at one point, our body is alive and active, and at another point, when the soul leaves it, it becomes just a waste of material that will rot. It will not even stay. It's not that it's not doing anything. It will actually rot and completely decompose. So without the spirit soul, then there is no person. So we understand by the people around us that there must be a spirit soul. But in the beginning we can't see it. So we accept this spirit soul on the basis of the body, on the basis of the gross and subtle body. We have relationships based on personalities. That all comes with the subtle body. So in the same way this Virat Rupa is formed. Prabhupada says, let's go on to this other one. So in the first second canto, first chapter. In the beginning, this various general classes about where, because the second canto is the beginning of Sukadeva Goswami speaking to us. And so then after that, he's talking about around about. Okay, so he says in text 18, he says that this whole process is to gradually spiritualize and purify the mind, withdraw it from sense activities. So that's why he's starting this meditation process. And by intelligence, the senses will become controlled. The mind, too, will be absorbed in material activities. Instead of that, we can engage them in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and be fixed in full consciousness. So then he advises meditating on Vishnu. And he starts to describe this form of Vishnu as the Virat Purusha. Because he says meditate on the form of Vishnu as situated in material nature. And then Parikshit asks, so how do I do that? So Parikshit says, okay, meditate on Vishnu, but how do I do it? So Sukadeva Goswami starts beginning process, sit in a nice yoga asana, and think of this gigantic form of the whole universe. So this is also beyond our imagination. We have to apply our imagination to think of the universal form because it goes into things that we have no practical experience of. The lower planetary systems are seen as the bottoms of the feet of the Lord, but Patala, it consists of the bottoms of the feet. The heels and toes are the Rasatala planets. Ankles are Mahatala planets. So beneath the earthly planets, there are 7 lower planetary systems. And they are seen as being the feet, ankles, and legs of the Lord. The knees are Sutala, which is another lower planetary system. Vitala and Atala are the 2 thighs. The hips are Mahitala, and outer space is the depression of his navel. The chest of the original personality of Godhead is the luminary planetary system. His neck is the Mahal planets. So Mahal planet is going above the earthly planets. His mouth is Janas planets. His forehead is Tapas. Topmost planet Satyaloka is the head of he who has 1,000 heads, the Virat Rupa. Then he goes on to talk about the demigods also, who are seen as parts of the Virat Rupa, because they are the active servants of the Lord. So by the demigods, these things, material arrangements are done. His arms are the demigods headed by Indra. 10 directional sides are his ears. Physical sound is his hearing. His nostrils are the 2 Ashvini Kumaras. Material fragrance is his sense of smell. His mouth is a blazing fire. His eye is the sun. So you see the sun, we see that as the eye of the Lord. And Brahma Samhita says the sun and the moon are the 2 eyes. But here it's just saying his eye is the sun. His eyelids are both day and night, whether his eyes are open or closed. In the movement of his eyebrows, Brahma and other supreme personalities reside. His palate is Varuna, and the juice of everything is his tongue. The Vedic hymns are the cerebral passage of the Lord. His jaws with teeth are Yama, the god of punishment. The art of affection is a set of teeth, so his teeth are beautiful. So they're not the same as the chewing teeth. And the most illusory material energy is his smile. So Krishna's smile is spiritual, but Virat Rupa's smile is illusory energy that keeps us trapped. Modesty is the upper portion of his lips. Hankering is his chin. Religion is his breast. Irreligion is his back. So that analogy is given elsewhere, especially with Brahma also. Brahma, the demons come from his back. Brahmaji who is the first Prajapati, is his genitals. Mitra Varunas are his two testicles. The ocean is his waist. The hills and mountains are the stacks of his bone that Guru Maharaj spoke about yesterday. The rivers are the veins of the body, and the trees are the hairs of his body. And the clouds are the hairs on his head. So the fluffy clouds are the hairs on his head. The sandhyas, the sunrise and sunset, are his dress. And the cause of material intelligence is material creation is his intelligence. The mind is the moon, the reservoir of changes. So in this way, this Virat Purusha is described. There's my there. So the two analogies are there about clouds in the sky, clouds and dust in the air. So the sky itself always remains untouched and pure, but the clouds will float in the sky. It's a nice analogy that Haridas Thakur in Harinam Chintamani gives for Namavas chanting. So in that analogy, which is a similar analogy, that the cloud is, the sun is in the sky, the sun is the holy name. We are on the material platform, the cloud is there, we can't see the sun. So the cloud is blocking the sun. But if you go up in an aeroplane above the level of clouds, the sun is never blocked. So the same way the holy name is never blocked by its potency. It's all powerful. It's just that we're under the cloud. So we don't see the full potency of the holy name. Mist and clouds. So the mist is ignorance and the clouds are the anartas. So these things which are meant to be removed by this process of meditating on the Virat Rupa. The process starts meditating on the Virat Rupa and seeing that as spiritual. Elsewhere, Srila Prabhupada says that even the Aborigines who see something wonderful in nature and think, well, this is God, they're on the path because they've recognized something superior to themselves. Whereas people who are totally engrossed of material nature are like Mayavadis. They think, I am God. Namo Narayan. I am Narayan, you're Narayan, we're all Narayan. So even the Aborigines in the forest who see some lightning, they think, wow, some God is here, some God is very powerful. They're on the first stage of God realization. Then when they get further, then they will realize actually there's something beyond this lightning. There's actually the whole universe is there. And they can start to meditate on this Virat Rupa. And in that way they become purified. So our buddhi bihi, less intelligent in terms of this definition means intelligence means we're able to distinguish between the body and the soul. So less intelligent means one who cannot distinguish between body and soul. And so those who are less intelligent, they will see things like the body and think that is the person. They will hear this description about the trees being the hairs on the body of the Lord, and they'll start to imagine this form of the Lord. This is an error, but it's an error because they can't see but beyond the gross material limits. Guru Maharaj also spoke yesterday about how Krishna told Arjuna, you can't see with your present eyes. I have to give you spiritual eyes. I have to give you the eyes so you can see my form of the Lord. So Virat Rupa is a process of meditation, which is a process of purification, which will help to get us out of this bodily conception. We start to see something, we start to see some order in the universe as we hear this description, and then we can start to get to the conception that there is an intelligence in the universe, not just that there are trees that are here standing up. So this form is not a real incarnation. that's the point of these verses being here after Krishna's to Bhagavan Swayam, is that Sutta Goswami is explaining that these are sometimes seen as form of the Lord's, but actually they're not incarnations. He calls it imaginary form. So it's not Krishna's, it's not Bhagavan Swayam, it's not Satchidananda. Okay, so when we're under the cloud or in the dusty air, how do we get out of it? So this process of Krishna consciousness has been given to us. We've got, for neophytes, we've got the Virat Purusha to meditate on. And then in the second canto, chapter 2 is about the Lord in the heart, the Paramatma. And chapter 3 is about pure devotional service. It's a gradual process. But if we want to take the fast process, we can take to chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this is Chaito Darpana Marja. This is a direct process of purifying our heart of misconceptions. To purify it completely, we have to pay attention to the anarthas and try and avoid them. But just by accepting this process of chanting, we will become purified. Sanatan Goswami in Brihad Bhagavatamrita says that even a Mayavadi, if he keeps chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra and never stops, he will, after a very, very long time, become purified. And why is that? Because a Mayavadi, he's thinking, I'm God. But one day something goes wrong in his life and he thinks, maybe I'm not God. And if he's still chanting at that time, that little bit when he's not thinking he's God, he gets some purification. So by gradual agyat sukriti, he will make some progress. And so Sanatan Goswami says, as long as he keeps chanting and never stops, eventually he'll become purified. But we want to take the direct process. We don't want to take the indirect process. So we try our best to follow the process given by our acharyas, by Srila Prabhupada and our parampara. We first determine that we're in a proper we're receiving proper knowledge by determining we're in a proper parampara. And we have to use our intelligence for that. We have to study a little bit the books that we're presented of, that Srila Prabhupada has given us. We have to learn a little bit about our acharyas and realize how incredibly intelligent they were. And in the same way that Arjuna accepts Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the 10th canto, 10th chapter. I just have to go and find it because I don't remember things like Guru Maharaj does. Bhagavad Gita. So Arjuna, here's the Chatur Sloki of Bhagavad Gita, the 4 very famous verses, 10, 8 till 11. Do you know them, Prabhuji? You know the Chatur Sloki Bhagavad Gita? Okay, let me just recite those. Just so, because these, when we read this verse number 28 a few days ago, this Krishna's to Bhagavan Swayam, this is called Paribhasa Sutra, which means it's the verse that gives the essence of the entire Bhagavatam. And if you're reading through the Bhagavatam and you find something you don't understand, you look at it in relation to this verse. That's what Paribhasa Sutra is. And so these 4 verses in the Bhagavad Gita are called the Chatur Sloki. They're the essence of the Bhagavad Gita. 8 is the first one. I know them, but I forget if I don't look at them. Yes, I know. I know them. I'm just reading them, just make sure I get the translation right. I don't give classes all that often. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mata sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajanti mam Buddha bhava samanvitaha. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. This is Krishna speaking. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. So this is giving our relationship with the Lord. If we know that Krishna is the source of all spiritual and material worlds, if we're wise, we'll think we should engage in devotional service. And with all our hearts we should worship Him. And then the next two verses describe how, the next verse, Matchita Matkata Prana, Bodhayanta Parasparam, Katayantas Chamam Nicham, Tushyanti Cha Ramanti Cha. This is about the reciprocation between the Lord and His devotees. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. So this is our process of devotional service, Shravanam Kirtanam. We're hearing about Krishna, and we're talking about Him, and we get great bliss from that. And then the last two verses are Krishna's reciprocation. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam uprayantite. To those who are constantly devoted to me, to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. So Krishna is saying, you don't do it by your own intelligence. You start off by becoming wise, you worship me with all your hearts, you talk about me, you hear about me, and then you're happy in devotional service. One quality of devotional service is happy. And when you're like that, when you're devoted to serving me with love, I will give the understanding. Prabhupada says in the purport, you don't have to be a scholar, you don't have to understand everything that's told to you, but you have to serve with love. And of course that's why we're studying. We're studying so we can know about Krishna, so we can get to love Him. And the last verse in the Chatusloki, Tesham evanukampartam aham agyana jam tamaha nasayam yatmabhavasto jnana deepena bhashvata. To show them special mercy, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. So Krishna is reciprocating. I will give them understanding, and I will do it by destroying ignorance. So the point that I'm making is that we come to this realization like Arjuna. If Arjuna replies, I won't read the whole verse, otherwise you'll just get lost in Sanskrit. Arjuna said, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the ultimate abode, the purest, the absolute truth. You are eternal, transcendental, the original persons. All the great sages such as Narad, Asit, Devala and Vyas confirm this truth about you, and now you yourself are declaring it to me. So I said we follow the authorities, we understand how intelligent they are. Here Arjuna is describing these great devotees. Narad Muni, there are so many stories about Narad Muni, how he's a great devotee and how he helps bring people to Krishna consciousness. He's the guru of Prahlad Maharaj, he's the guru of Mrigarhi the hunter, he's the guru of Dhruva Maharaj, he's the guru of so many people, stories in the Bhagavatam. Here, guru of Vyasadeva. Asita, Devala are famous rishis, and Vyasadeva, who wrote the entire Bhagavatam, the entire Vedas, Vyasadeva, they confirm this truth about you. So we by our intelligence, we work out that we're in a proper parampara, and we follow that parampara. And then we follow the process that we're given. And by that process, that's called the shortcut. It's called the lift. Prabhupada says, if you want to go through the slow process, go through the demigods, go up through the Virat Rupa, go up to personal meditation, go up to little like that. It's like going up the stairs. But if you take to this Krishna consciousness, get in a parampara, follow the process and chant Hare Krishna, it's like going straight up the lift, straight up to the 100th floor. Okay, now it's 7 o'clock. Anyone have any questions or comments? Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
So my question is that even in when the people come in Krishna consciousness, so still they are in, because of the body conception, they could not understand the sentence, I am the soul, I am not this body. Although when we go class and we read Bhagavad Gita, at that time, sometimes we realize, okay, I am the soul. But when we are out of Bhagavad Gita, out of the class, then we evidently forget some anger, and so many things come in our mind. So when we will proper situated in that platform, I am the soul, I am not this body.
So that's actually quite a high platform. I don't know about you, but I haven't got there yet. It's a very high platform, because that will happen when we get to the stage of anartha-nivritti. Now, at the stage, anartha-nivritti means no more anarthas, no more misconceptions, no more bad habits, no more thinking on the body. But it doesn't mean no more. There's still a few anarthas are there, but they no longer stop our progress. So, and that's a very high stage to get to. In the beginning, we simply have to accept the process and try as good as we can to avoid the offenses and follow the process. Even to follow the process that Srila Prabhupada has given is quite difficult. I mean, in Prabhupada's day, they would get up for Mangal Arati, and they would have the full morning program, chant their rounds, and go to Bhagavatam class. Then they would go out on the street for 10, 12 hours a day. And then they'd come home in the evening. And then they'd have 2 or 3 more classes. Every time Prabhupada put out a new book, they would have a class on it. So they would have Nectar of Devotion classes, they would have Teachings of Lord Chaitanya classes, and they would have Nectar of Instruction class when it came out, Chaitanya Charitamrita. So every day they were going out on the street for 10 or 12 hours distributing books, Harinam Sankirtan. And then they were coming back, and then they were doing all their service in the temple as well. It wasn't that somebody was doing everything for them while they were out. They still had to come back and do the service. And of course, there 1 or 2 people have to come and look after the place and maybe cook something for them. But almost all of them were going out for 10, 12 hours a day. And then they still had to finish their chanting, most of them. So they'd be up to, there's a nice story, I've got it saved somewhere, but I don't think I can find it now, which is called Prabhupada is Coming, which is written by one of Prabhupada's disciples, talking about how, because when Prabhupada was coming, they would spend all their time, they would clean the whole place, temple, they would paint, they would make a new asan for him, they would decorate, they would do so many things, they had no time to chant. So they'd be up at 11 or 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, still finishing their chanting. And they'd have to get up for Mangal Arati. And to stay awake, he described that some of them would put a bucket on their head, and some of them would stand in water, and some of them would jump up and down. And he was describing how even when they jump up and down, while you're up in the air, you can still fall asleep for half a second. So we've got more degraded since Prabhupada's time. We can't follow that. So even to follow the process Prabhupada gave us, we have to try our best. We have to do as much as we can and try and keep that mood of willing service. And then by that, Krishna, the devotees will be pleased. Guru Maharaj explained yesterday. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasada. If Krishna is pleased, he'll give mercy to us. How we know Krishna is pleased? By pleasing Guru. If Guru is not there, how we know Guru is pleased? By pleasing the devotees. So by trying our best, we will please the devotees, and then Guru will be pleased, and then Krishna will be pleased, and he can give us mercy. Because by our own efforts, we can't get rid of anarthas. These conceptions of life have been with us for millions and millions of years. So we can't get rid of it by ourselves. We have to follow the process sincerely and pray for Krishna's mercy, Lord Chaitanya's mercy, Guru's mercy, like that. Is that okay, Prabhuji? Thank you. Anything else? I wasn't looking at you. You were listening. It's okay.
Also, one question is coming in my mind, like neophyte means like sometimes devotee they practice in devotional service like 30 years or 20 years, but still they are considered to be like neophyte because unless they become the level of the Atma, because sometimes we see, even in Chaitanya Charitamrita it mentioned that apne indriya priti varsha boli tarika, Krishna indriya priti isha tarik devana. Unless we are observed in devotional service of Krishna, then we are not in level of the Atma.
Yeah. Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Harinam Chintamani is very strict with his definitions. He defines the Madhyam platform as being Shuddha chanting, pure chanting. Namabhas is neophyte. Namaparad is not even there. So neophyte, Kanishta Adhikari, he says, actually they're not devotees. They're Bhakta Praya. They're near devotees. But we call them devotees so we can give them our association and help them advance. So he's saying that you actually have to get to Shuddha chanting, Shuddha Nam, to get to the Madhyam stage. So he's got a very high standard. Most of us, we think we've been here for 10 or 20 years, we think we're at Madhyam stage. But according to Bhaktivinoda's definition, we're not there yet. We have to get better.
I'm not often being criticizing, but when I was in Mayapur, 2016, there were 5 GVC, some brahmachari from Mayapur. So the meeting was going on there, and I know some or other they were arguing and in something. So they are fighting each other.
Yeah.
So I just that time Bhakti Sastri. So I was very confused. So that from that time I realized that whoever when they practice in devotional service, even 30 years or 25 years, doesn't matter. They remain in neophyte.
Yeah.
Neophyte is always fine, as Srimad Prabhupada said.
Yeah, one thing that actually, I think it was Prashanta told me, because she's on a GBC as a, whatever she's on, not as a GBC, but as she goes to the GBC meetings. And what she said was, at the GBC, they fight like anything during the daytime. In their meetings, they fight, they argue, they call each other names and everything else. But she said they come together in the evening for Gora Arti, they come together in the morning for Guru Puja, and they sing and dance and they're happy. So he said, in that way we can see that they, even though they're fighting, we can see that they are senior devotees because they come back to a normal stage. Prabhupada said that these GBC meetings were to find unity in diversity. That's hard. We all come in material bodies from different backgrounds. We all have different ideas of what Srila Prabhupada is trying to tell us. And the GBC also do. So the GBC, they fight because they have different ideas of what Srila Prabhupada is asking them to do. Bhakti Chara Maharaj gave some very nice classes on when he's talking about Prabhupada's position, and he's talking about the GBC. He said, in relation to the zonal acharyas, that this system failed. He said, how can it be that something Srila Prabhupada did failed? Prabhupada is perfect. So how can it be that it failed? And he said that perhaps you can consider that it was a way to prove that the GBC system works. Even though they made a wrong decision based on a wrong understanding of what Prabhupada intended for these acharyas, eventually, because they stayed together as a GBC, they corrected it. So he said, because of this happening, we can see that the GBC system works, as opposed to the Gaudiya Math, who individually started fighting and they lost everything. They got so many subdivided, and they're still there, but they're not actively preaching. They're not fulfilling Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. So Bhakti Charamaj said that by the fact that this wrong things happen, and in time GBC will correct it. Like at the moment, Guru Maharaj is very strongly arguing about this female Diksha gurus, and two people are managing to basically hold GBC at ransom. But in the future, that will be corrected, as long as the GBC remain faithful to Srila Prabhupada's lotus feet. There was also one incident where something very wrong was going, and something was going very wrong in a temple in, I think, New York. It was America. And the temple president was even eating meat, I think, was so much. He was not following the regular principles. He was doing so many things wrong. And the devotees in the temple, he was the temple president, they didn't know what to do. So some of the devotees said, we have to tell somebody. And some of the devotees said, no, we just follow the process, it'll work. So one group went off and told the authorities. Prabhupada was still there at that time. But I don't know, they told Prabhupada, they told the GBC. The other group just stayed in the temple. They did their service, they did their sadhana, and they just carried on and just calmly tolerated everything and just kept on with their sadhana. So after Prabhupada found out, he rectified it. I don't know exactly what the solution was, but he rectified it. And then the devotee said to Prabhupada, Prabhupada, we couldn't agree. Some of us thought that we should do something about it, and some of us thought we should just continue with our devotional service and it will become right. Which one of us is right? And Prabhupada said, you're both right. We can, I mean, some people will have that mood of, I have to do something, which is a little Kshatriya mood, a little management mood. Some people will have that mood and they will want to do something. They will want to complain. They will want to say something. And other people will just want to continue their sadhana. And neither is wrong. Both are right. So we just trust the process and just keep faithfully following Srila Prabhupada. And of course, it's our responsibility to keep studying Srila Prabhupada's books, writings, conversations, lectures, so that we can determine what Srila Prabhupada wants from us. If we just listen to other people, Prabhupada said this, okay. Prabhupada said this, okay. We will never get anywhere. We have to study Srila Prabhupada's works ourselves and develop this relationship with Prabhupada. And this purpose of the IDC is to help you develop your relationship with Srila Prabhupada. It's not just theoretical. You're meant to take this seriously and develop your relationship with Srila Prabhupada. He's there. Vani is there. He's there eternally. There's another story to back that up as well. In New Vrindavan, things went very wrong in New Vrindavan. They were calling Srila Prabhupada God and so many other things. And there was one visitor. She came to the temple for the very first time. And she heard this voice, take my shoes, take my shoes. She looked around, there was nobody in the room. And she thought, what am I supposed to do? And she heard the voice again, take my shoes, take my shoes. And she looked around and she saw Srila Prabhupada. And she saw he's got some shoes. Maybe it's him talking. So she thought, what do I do? There was no one in the temple room at that time. So she picked the shoes up, put them in her bag, and went home. And she lived in a different state. She lived a long way away. So some years later, she put the shoes in the cupboard. She didn't think any more about it. She just put it in the cupboard. Some years later, she heard a voice saying, you can bring my shoes back. Bring my shoes back. So she brought the shoes back. She gave them to Prabhupada. And she talked, at that time she talked to the devotees and explained what happened. So they realized that actually Prabhupada was, his Murti was in the temple, but he wasn't there anymore because things were going too much wrong. So take my shoes meant that he went away until things were fixed. And then bring my shoes back means that the GBC had fixed it and everything got tidied up. Some devotees left the movement and everybody had to get settled down again. And apparently they got to the stage, they put a big, huge statue of Prabhupada wearing a turban outside somewhere. And they were like imagining like it was like the big Buddhist statues we see here. And they were going really wrong. And so Prabhupada left. His shoes left. The murti was still there, but he wasn't there. So that's a story. But when you hear more and more of these stories, you will gain faith that actually Prabhupada is alive. We can talk to him, we can develop a relationship with him, like that. Okay, thank you all very much. Anything else from anyone? Yes, yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Can you tell me a little bit about Bhakti Shastri?
So Bhakti Shastri.
Why did you study Bhakti Shastri?
So this Prabhupada says, why am I telling you to read my books? And devotees trying to think of answers. He says, why did I write all these books? And the devotees were thinking, to teach us things, this, that. Prabhupada said, no, I wrote these books to teach you how to chant Hare Krishna. So our purpose is to get to know Krishna, have a relationship with him. But you can't have a relationship if you don't know somebody. And so in the beginning, especially with Krishna, he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we have to treat him with respect. So we purify our mental conception. It's even said that the Radha Krishna in the temple, we worship them as if they were Lakshmi Narayan. We worship them with reverence. We don't say, we're going to the groves and for Ras Leela today, we're going to play holy today. In ISKCON, we don't play holy, as a general rule. I mean, sometimes they have festivals for the public, but we don't play holy, because the object of these pastimes with Krishna is for Krishna's pleasure, not for our pleasure. So in the beginning, we have to learn about his qualities as described in the Bhagavad Gita. He is the source of his spiritual material worlds, like that. So Bhakti Shastri is Bhagavad Gita. Yeah, Nectar of Devotion, the first ocean, the first 19 chapters. Nectar of Instruction, which is a very nice book on sadhana and goes all the way up to pure devotional service when it describes Radha Kund being the highest. And then Ishopanishad. So of all the Upanishads, 18 are principal, and this Ishopanishad is special because it encapsulates in just a few slokas the whole philosophy. So I don't study it anymore. It's for preaching, you need to understand more. Yeah, I don't understand it. So I like when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was touring South India, he found the Brahma Samhita 5th chapter. I like that because it's also describing the whole philosophy of Gaudiya Vaishnavas. But first you study these 4 books in Bhakti Shastri. Then you can go and study Bhagavatam more. I know you're reading it, but when you study in association with devotees, you will learn more about themes and things that you won't learn so much by reading it by yourself. And then continue on after that, Chaitanya Charitamrita. You had a nice thing, but Bhagavad Gita is the, what did you say? Bhagavad Gita is the words of Krishna. Bhagavatam is the story of Krishna, and Chaitanya Charitamrita is the mind of Krishna. So we progress slowly. All right. Enough? Any more? Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai. Thank you.